as he said, I'm going to be talking about Candidatus Liberibacter solanacearum and its psyllid vectors in the UK, and try and kind of piece together how the Calibre project's trying to address how much of a risk this pathogen has to UK agriculture, mainly carrot and potato. So I'm an entomologist, so I'm going to be biased and start with the psyllids, but we will get onto the bacteria, I promise. So what are psyllids? They're also known as jumping plant lice, and they're sap-sucking insects. I kind of usually describe them as cooler-looking aphids, but it might be a little bit unfair to aphids and people that study them. They're kind of cute, little charismatic insects, sap-sucking insects. There's a great video here, which we'll add the link into the chat, and you can see them actually flipping off the plant as a defense mechanism, and they're the fastest front-flipping insects apparently. So these are related to aphids, whitefly, and leaf or plant hoppers, and they're known as Hemiptera as a rough insect group, and these are all kind of economically important as they cause a lot of plant diseases. So let's talk about the life stages of the psyllid. You can see at the top here we've got the eggs, and these are tiny. These are like a fraction of a millimeter, and then the eggs hatch and the immature stages develop. There's 5 stages until the eventual molt into the adult stage. And this is significant because the tiny size of these eggs and younger stages of the immatures, it's really easy to overlook those in kind of plant inspections, that kind of thing. They easily hide under leaves and within flowers. And these are really difficult to identify in the immature stage. So yeah, we're interested in psyllids because they're vectors of plant pathogens as well. So yeah, mainly Liberibacters and phytoplasmas. There are others. Yeah, Huanglong Bing or citrus greening has a huge effect on the citrus industry. The one we're going to focus on more today is zebra chip and psyllid yellows, which affects potatoes, other solanaceous crops, carrot, and other apiaceous crops as well. We'll go into that in more detail. They're also responsible for transmitting phytoplasmas, things like Phytoplasma mallei, which causes apple proliferation. And all of these diseases have a huge impact on the economy and the agriculture. So let's focus on zebra chip, not so much citrus grown in the UK. Let's focus on potatoes and carrots. So the bacterium Candidatus Liberibacter solanacearum, I'll call it LSO from now on to save a bit of time. Yeah, it's transmitted by a number of different vectors, and yeah, Bacteria serracockerelli is responsible for transmitting to solanaceous crops, so potatoes, peppers, tomatoes, probably some of your favorite fruit and vegetables. And the carrot psyllids here, Bacteriacera trigonica and Dispersa apicalis, which are responsible for transmitting to carrot and celery and other apiaceous crops. I should note that we do have populations of Dispersa apicalis present in the UK. So the Calibre project is trying to look at those populations to see how prevalent they are. So symptoms of zebra chip, you get these strange discoloration when the chips or crisps are fried, and you get reddening and yellowing of the leaves as well. Symptoms in carrot are very similar. You get this yellowing, reddening of the leaves. You get shoot and root proliferation, which reduces the size of the root there, and again reduces yield. So yeah, the distribution of LSO and its interaction with its plant and psyllid host is rather complex. Yeah, I'm not going to go through this slide in too much detail, but the main ones to look at are haplotypes A and B. So different genetic groups, we call them haplotypes of LSO. A and B are mainly associated with Bacteria serracockerelli and solanaceous diseases, so potatoes, peppers, tomatoes, and the carrot psyllids are responsible for transmitting haplotypes C, D, and E. Haplotypes A and B we don't have in Europe, and we don't have the main vector there, Bacteria serracockerelli, in Europe, and we'd like it to stay that way. The carrot psyllids we do have in Europe, and we actually have this carrot psyllid, the northern carrot psyllid in the UK. So we're trying to look at the impacts of this psyllid in the UK, and to see why it doesn't necessarily cause as much of an impact on carrot production as it does in its kind of counterpart countries where it's present and more prevalent, such as kind of Scandinavian countries and Finland and Denmark, etc. So looking at Bacterial cockerelli, it originates from Northern America, and from there, sorry, there's something going wrong with this screen. Okay, from there it has moved to New Zealand, causing millions of US dollars worth of crop loss. We don't have it in Europe, and it is an EPO quarantine pest. From what we're seeing in the Caliber project, the native psyllids that we do have with LSO don't seem to have an effect on carrot and potato, whether they're haplotypes that don't transmit into important crops like potato and carrot, or the vectors just don't feed on those crops. So the main threats to UK potato at the moment are invasion of Bacterial cockerelli, and this would cause hundreds of millions of pounds worth of damage to the potato industry. It has been intercepted twice in 2017 from aubergine from Mexico, and you can see this kind of green parts, the calyx of the plant is the perfect place for the eggs and the immatures to kind of hide. Estimated effect of LSO damage on potato and tomato in Europe would be around 222 million euros per annum. So we're doing all we can to try and keep that out. Threats to UK carrot are very similar. We do have the psyllid disperser apicalis, but from what we're finding in the field, it's very, very low population numbers, and we actually haven't found LSO associated with this psyllid in the UK yet. So it's good news for carrot growers. Our main threats are invasion from other areas of Europe, and Bacterial trigonica is more kind of isolated to Mediterranean region, so there is a big risk of invasion due to climate change if the climate in it's kind of southern England or elsewhere becomes more suitable for that psyllid. So I guess this message again rings true. Please don't bring any plants, flowers, or fruits and vegetables back into the UK. They could be harboring any of the life stages of psyllids or even adults there. Some of the things we're doing in Caliber, I'll just run through them quickly because I'm running out of time. We're looking at on economic trade analysis of solanaceous vegetables. So do changes in imports and exports increase or decrease the risk of Bacterial cockerelli and LSO invading the UK? And again, by far the biggest risk is the introduction of imports of solanaceous fruits with the green parts of the plant. We're looking at genetics of the LSO, the pathogen and the vector to see, so we have LSO in the UK, but why are our LSO genotypes different from other LSO elsewhere? We're also looking at the distribution of LSO and its vectors across the UK, and so far the main message is that we don't have big populations of the psyllid vectors that are causing the damage. We're looking at transmission, so how do psyllids effectively transmit to potato crops or carrot crops, and are there any other kind of native psyllids that can transmit? We're looking at ecological networks to see how the landscape effect around agricultural areas affects how much of an impact LSO has on the crop. And we're also modeling the risk, as we've seen in the previous slides. Does trade or change in agricultural practice increase or decrease our risk of LSO becoming a problem? So everything we're finding within the Caliber project, we're fitting within this matrix to kind of determine do the psyllids we have pose a big risk to certain crops, and we're mainly focusing on carrot and potato. So far, if you just skip through to the risk section, it's looking like we're kind of fine for carrot and potato. We're not seeing any impacts, and there's no reports from growers of high LSO problems. We haven't found LSO in any of the carrot that we've screened for across the project. Still questions around disperser pallida and disperser apicalis. But hopefully the subsequent work that we do in the project will kind of show that they're not a problem. So we're looking at EPG feeding behaviors and how LSO transmits and how psyllids feed on different crops. Kind of running out of time, so I'll skip through these quite quickly. But yeah, the main message is that most of the native psyllids and LSO haplotypes we have at the moment are not really a risk on carrot and potato so far. Thanks to everyone who contributed to this and previous projects, and that's just a roundup of the Calibre team. Thanks.